All righty. So, Georgianne, you and I were talking recently, and I had mentioned intermittent fasting to you, and you told me that your daughter had done that on her own and lost an incredible amount of weight. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about it and introduce us to your daughter?
All right. This is my daughter Stacy, my youngest, and she has had a really hard time with weight loss. Well, she's been overweight since she hit puberty, and all her life she's struggled, and there was just no way I could help her. If you have a child that's overweight, you understand. And I'm going I'm going to let her share her journey with you, but I am so proud of her. She's lost about 100 pounds in a year's time.
Oh,
And
my goodness.
yeah, it's absolutely amazing. No diet, no medications, let me put it that
Mhm.
way. It was a complete lifestyle change.
Mhm.
And she did do the fasting, but she hit a plateau for a while just on diet. And that was when she found out about the fasting. So, Stacy,
Yeah, tell
it's
us all
all.
about it.
So I have struggled with my weight my entire life. And I guess a few years ago I was working in an ER in Arizona, and one of the PAs that I worked with was doing the keto diet, and he lost a lot of weight very quickly. And I thought about looking into it. I didn't really have a lot of time to talk to him because it was a very busy ER. But years later, my husband and my son were standing in the kitchen talking about trying keto. And so I thought, I'm in because here
Mhm.
I am, I'm 40 years old and I work in the ER. So I see all the time that this is the age range where you start seeing people come in with heart attacks and strokes. And I'm like, I'm not ready for that. I don't want to be the patient in that bed. So I've got to do something.
Mhm.
So we started off we cut out the big things like bread, potatoes, rice, pasta, and then we started paying attention to what was in our food, to the ingredients, and trying to make things as healthy as possible. And I started losing weight and it was going well. And then it stopped, like I hit a plateau. So I was talking to one of the ER doctors that I work with now, and she was telling me that she had been doing intermittent fasting and she had lost a great deal of weight. So I started doing that where I would not eat after 5 o'clock, and that helped. And
Mhm.
then I still wasn't really paying attention to, like, I didn't pay close attention to anything as far as numbers were concerned.
Mhm.
But I hit another plateau, and a friend of mine said something about all the calories in whatever I was eating. And I
Mhm.
realized, oh, I guess I need to be watching that too. So I started paying more attention. Again, never counting anything. It was just like if you look at the nutrition facts and it says there's a lot of calories, oh well, that's just not one that I can do. And the weight loss picked up again. And so I have lost 104 pounds, and it's been quite a journey. I, a lot of it has been recipes that I found on Facebook,
Mhm.
um, and a lot of meal prepping is key, especially
Mhm.
for work. Um,
Mhm.
and being extremely determined. It's like one of those things where told myself it's either eat right or just don't even eat. Like so I incorporated a lot of fruits and vegetables um, into my diet, protein increase, and just kept going with it.
Wow.
I'm
And so
glad
you
you
said you lost
because
104
when
pounds?
people talk about the keto diet, they always talk about meat, but that has not been the biggest part of your diet.
No,
Okay.
not at all. Um, Salads and because we never actually did keto. It was just low carb, just watching carbs. I don't
Mhm.
really like the idea of cutting out anything completely from your diet. I think
Right.
anything you do like that is dangerous.
Mhm.
So it was about watching what's in your food and then cutting out the big carbs. And I mean, I love beets and they're full of carbs, and I'll sit and eat them all day long. But
Mhm.
I just cut out the ones that I felt like weren't necessary and weren't really healthy.
Right. So aren't there good carbs and bad carbs, or like, there are carbs from beets like Mother Nature made that, so those wouldn't be bad carbs necessarily, right? But carbs from fluffy white bread, something like that, that's probably not a carb that's good for us. So cool.
That's
I mean,
that's kind of how I feel.
so it took what, about a year to lose
Um,
100
the,
pounds?
the majority of it took about 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah, about 9 months. And then like since then, I'm kind of at a plateau again, and I kind of lose a couple of pounds and then gain a pound and then lose
Mhm.
3 pounds. But my doctor feels like I'm in a good spot. So
Mhm.
I guess I'll be happy with where I'm at.
Yeah, sounds awesome. So did you notice any other changes besides just the weight loss? Were you sleeping better? Did you have more energy?
I feel 100 times better. And I mean, it's all the way from things like having more energy to the things that you take for granted when you're overweight, just like being able to sit down and cross my legs. Like,
Mm,
I mean, you think that's a normal thing, but when you're very overweight, it's not. Being able to tie my shoe without holding my breath, you
mm-hmm,
know, um, I am not afraid that I'm not going to fit in the seat at a restaurant or at an amusement park. Like, it's incredible for your mental health as well. Like,
mm-hmm,
so much so because I feel like I can go outside and garden, and that's enjoyable to me. I have always been a very hot person, but I the heat doesn't bother me as much anymore. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's almost as important as the physical aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. So you said you didn't really follow keto necessarily, but did you look up any programs related to intermittent fasting, or did you just establish your window for eating and window for not eating?
I just established that window for eating. So I work night shifts. So if I'm working, I don't eat anything after 5 p.m. or a.m. And
Mhm.
then I eat again when I wake up. And it's usually about 12 hours of not
Okay.
eating, which I've recently learned I have to be very careful with because if I go much over that, my blood sugar starts to drop very low. And I'm not diabetic. It's just a new discovery
Gotcha.
we found.
Yeah, and it sounds like everybody needs to figure out what their sweet spot is. I guess I was mentioning it to your mom because I had started sort of doing it on my own, just sort of saying, okay, you really don't need to be snacking after 8 o'clock at night, when you're sitting there binge watching
Yeah,
a
no, I get
program or
that.
whatever. It's so easy to reach out. I have a little candy pocket, a little. I've since emptied it, Georgianne. It's like, so it's just too easy to reach over and get something. And but even last night my husband brought me a little fun size payday, and he brought it to me, and then I looked at it and I looked at the clock and I put it down in my candy pocket. Like, so I'll save that till I'm in my window. But it was interesting in that I sort of like you, I mean, I'm already gluten free, have been for many, many years. And when I first had to go on that really restrictive diet, it was a specific program with supplements and all kind of stuff that, I mean, I basically cried every single day of that diet for 60 days, but I dropped a lot of weight. And but I saw my body change every day, so I knew the power of eating real food. I couldn't eat anything processed. Um, and so, this time around, it was sort of like, all the circumstances that led up to a little extra fluffy padding. Some of us gained when we started working at home during COVID. It's like
Yeah.
you kind of take for granted all the activity, like just running errands during lunch. And I had an office that was upstairs, and so running up and down those stairs, I didn't realize how much exercise I was getting. And so, yeah, so it's like, okay, it's not coming off by itself. So I kept seeing the term intermittent fasting. And so I just started a little bit, with just let's not eat past 8 o'clock. I like to do that earlier, but because of when my husband gets off work and gets home, by the time we sit down to eat, we're done between 7:30 and 8. So when I can, I do a little bit earlier. And then it was like a month ago, I was working over at a friend of mine's place who uh, she works mostly cancer patients. That's her focus, but she has other patients with other situations. And I was just so busy meeting her patients and explaining what I do, the holistic options I provide and everything. And that by the time I even thought about eating, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, wow, I wasn't even hungry until now. So that got me interested in intermittent fasting. And then somehow magically, probably because our phones are listening to us, Dr. Mindy Pills showed up in my YouTube feed, and I started watching some of her videos. And so I learned more about, some things you can do while you're fasting, while you're in your fasting window, like different things you can drink and little things you can eat to help you get over the hunger bump. So did you come up with any little tricks? Did you learn any tricks along the way to help you through your fasting window?
Not really. I mean, I would eat like usually right before my cutoff, I would eat something, and then most of the time, or at least half of the time that I'm doing the fasting, I'm asleep. So
Mhm.
I just always had something prepared to eat when I woke up because I knew I would wake up starving.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
really no
But
tricks, just again, a strong determination.
Gotcha.
you just hit something there. It's called breakfast because you're breaking the fast. But
Mhm.
fasting before you go to bed, how hard was that for you when you went to sleep? Did you feel like you were going to bed on an empty stomach?
No, because by the time I started doing the intermittent fasting, had probably already shrunk my stomach muscles enough that I didn't get as hungry as maybe I once would have. I think you're gonna have to work up to it, but I've not had any trouble with it. I mean, just waking up starving, but that's pretty much been me my whole life.
Okay, well, go back to the beginning then, because you know yourself, you've tried to diet. I think you did Weight Watchers one time, and you did some other things. What was the determining factor that helped you turn the corner this time and be able to do this? Was it the support because you had people at home eating the same thing? What was
That
it?
was
People.
a lot of it. Yeah. That was a lot of it. And I also kind of just knew what I would I was avoiding certain things. You know, in the beginning, it wasn't a calorie cut. It was just, cutting out some things that I felt like would help. And it was kind of a slow process. It's at first just structuring how you eat, um,
Mhm.
and what you're gonna eat and getting like a routine. And then you're kind of adding to it. Like I went from, just lower carbs to, lower calories and intermittent fasting, and it just kind of all built up. But I, I don't know if there's any really tricks. Again, I've never counted anything. I don't weigh my food. I just started making better decisions. And, I honestly started eating things that I always said I didn't like. Um, because there was the option of giving a bag of chips, it turned into a bell pepper. Like, never
Mhm.
thought I'd see the day where I enjoy salads and bell peppers. But after you do it for a while or make yourself do it for a while, it actually gets to the point that you enjoy it and you learn to like things you maybe didn't like or thought you didn't like before.
You didn't know you liked it.
Right. I guess I
Your
didn't.
taste buds might have been tuned to the other types of food.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and I know that I taste a difference between like organic cucumbers specifically, they taste so different than
Hmm.
non-organic. It's just like if I go to the grocery store and there aren't any organic cucumbers, I won't get a conventional one because I'm just accustomed to the really super fresh taste of an organic one. And what I noticed years ago is that like bell pepper, not that I'm huge on that, but I noticed that organic bell pepper doesn't give me indigestion. So
There's
Yeah.
something to be said for that.
I mean, there are different things along the way. So, yeah, there were some. I had been watching some of the Dr. Mindy Pell's videos and things you can do on a fast, and so that's why nowadays I've never really been into carbonated beverages. But she mentioned the mineral waters, and so I started drinking. The little flavored, no sugar added. There's only 1 gram of sugar, and there's all these different flavors: lime, peach. Have cherry right now. And I think there's a grapefruit one. So, it kind of reminds me of a White Claw, but I'm
Yeah.
like day drinking, right? So
Mm-mm.
that's actually, helped me drink a little more water. She did mention, which I was already doing, I get up in the morning and I'm, get hungry or I'm drinking my coffee and I don't put creamer in it usually. Maybe on the weekends, every once in a while on a Sunday morning, I might indulge in creamer, but homemade creamer, by the way. Um,
Mhm.
and I would get a spoonful of peanut butter just to get that on my stomach. And that's one of the things that she mentioned was nut butters, like a little spoonful of nut butter. One of the other things she mentioned was a half of an avocado. These are things you can have on your fast that don't spike your blood sugar, is what she was talking about. Then there was one other item. It was a product that you have to order and purchase and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not getting into anything like that. I only want to know about stuff that's already in my fridge or my cabinet. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like you. I don't want to get hung up on a bunch of rules and just let me just shift how I'm doing this. And
Yeah.
and my weights, fluctuated a little bit here and there with it. And I've given myself intermittent goals as far as weight loss but I've already noticed an increase of energy. And I can't what you were an inspiration to me, so now I see what
Thank
and
you.
hear about what you just did, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I can cut out the fun size payday candy bars. So,
Oh,
I mean, I already eat fairly healthy, but I always, sometimes when you're gluten free, you feel like you're deprived of certain things, and then you kind of go too heavy in another direction. So I can
Yeah.
definitely curtail my sweet tooth. And I always see I can justify like almond joy or paydays because well, there's nuts, there's coconut.
oh,
I
cheetah.
know. I'd be better off with just a little square of dark Dove chocolate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love sweets too. And now I'll get like the Quest protein Reese's.
Hmm.
They're lower in calorie. I don't do it a lot. I try not to do it much, but
Hmm.
I use fruit as candy. So like I just like blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, that kind of thing. When I have a sweet tooth, I try to focus on that more so than candy.
Yeah,
It
and I
it
did.
just seems to.
Yeah, when I did that detox thing for 60 days, and I told you I was like in tears every day. And fruit became my dessert. Nothing spoiled in my house, nothing. And
Yeah.
and I had to learn how to cook. I mean, when we bought our house, it was brand new and it had this beautiful ceramic black glass cooktop kind of thing, gorgeous, you know, and that was for show. That wasn't to use, but then I had to, so it's well broken in now. So, and now, I find because I'm gluten free, I see a lot of keto recipes. And so I will look at the recipes, and if it doesn't look too complicated, I'll try it. Um,
Yeah.
if I get in there and there's terminology that's new to me, I might look it up one time, but sometimes I just shake my head and move on. So,
Yeah, I think for everybody, you just have to come up with like what is realistic for you, what you
mhm.
can do. Because I mean, it's so different for every single person. But one thing you were kind of touching on is that is another huge change that I made. Like we cut out. I don't drink my calories. That's what I always say. So I drink a lot of water, but also eating out. And that
Mhm.
seems to be
Challenging. Yeah.
like yeah, the whole world has a habit of doing that because we're busy, because we're tired, because there's all these, millions of excuses, but ultimately it's easy. Um, and so we quit doing that for a very long time. Now we have one night a week that we are
Yeah.
go eat out, but um cutting out fast food or those kind of things, that is a tremendous help too.
Yeah. And, you know, we used to eat out quite a bit as well, and we don't eat out as much now, or I may pick up something and bring it home. But the more that I have started cooking, trying different recipes and things like that, um, the less I want to eat out, if that makes sense, because now I
Mhm. Makes
taste the
perfect sense.
difference. I tricked my husband into to my homemade creamer. I had come across the recipe. It was really simple. I found it on Pinterest. I found all these recipes on Pinterest. And we ran out one day, and he had been drinking a particular name brand that had an ingredient in it that I had recently come across as being we shouldn't be consuming that. I think it was like our body can't process it or digest it or something like that. Well, he doesn't want to take nutrition information from me. So I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, don't worry, we're out of creamer." And I didn't want to, because we live out in Harris County. I don't want to drive all the way into town to go to the store just for that. So I said, "Oh, I'll make some real quick." And he liked it. Well, he thinks I'm making it because it's less expensive.
Well, however you can get him to do it.
So, and on those Sunday mornings when I indulge in that creamer, it is so good. And I've noticed I only want 1 cup of coffee with that creamer in it, and I am not hungry till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's something in that, that satisfies, my hunger. So that was one thing I noticed, and but anyway, I could babble on and on and on. I mean, when I had to go through that detox thing, I learned a lot about nutrition, a lot firsthand. And you probably saw the same thing, is that every day I looked in the mirror, I saw changes. And I'm sure you did too, you know.
Yeah, I did.
And
I
I
think
tell people, yeah, go ahead.
we don't, as a whole, we don't pay enough attention to, like, we know food is fuel, but ultimately everything that you put in your body is doing something in some way, whether it's for your, like with beets. I love that helps um with your blood and with your cardiac stuff, and you can make or break yourself with food. Like
Hmm.
you can either have a good, healthy, like energetic life, or you can just be miserable and die young, unfortunately, because food is not just fuel. It is literally everything
Hmm.
about you as a person. Like what is, I mean, what it's going to make you mentally, physically, everything. Food
Yeah,
is so important, and knowing what you're putting in your body is imperative. It just has to be imperative.
absolutely. And I
Give
love
her
beets
an
also.
example of how you prepped your meals. I know the first 3, 4, 5 months that you guys were doing this, you did 1 meat, 2 veggies, and it was always clean white meats, fish, chicken. Talk about it.
No, didn't start out quite that well. Um, I actually had what I called snackle boxes, because they're just like the little snack boxes that have different sections. And I would have like cheese and pepperoni in one, and then maybe grapes and olives and um, sometimes carrots. I'd had 2 of those boxes, and I would fill them up, and I would just munch on them all weekend. And that's where I started. I've gotten more into like salads now, but I kind of go through phases because you get tired of something after a while. But um, I'll tell you, I also use coffee if I'm hungry and it's not time to be hungry yet. I hear what you're saying about the coffee, because that can stop me from eating something. Um, but I've gone through several different phases of things that I enjoy eating. It just started with those snackle boxes. I don't use them anymore, but it got me through probably the first 60 pounds. That's just where and like, if you don't have something prepared to eat, and especially in the ER, because you don't always have an allotted time to sit down and eat. And
Mhm.
that is one of the things that caused major problems for me, a busy ER and working night shift. And it was just a downward spiral. But you, like, I started using finger foods because that was easier to just grab, and I can shove a
Mhm.
few in my mouth, close the top, and go do what I need to do, and maybe come back later and eat a handful of grapes. And instead of just sitting down and like eating this large meal as quickly as possible, or worse than that, working an entire 12-hour shift without eating, and then getting off work and eating everything that could come near my face without any regard for what was in it,
I
and then going
understand.
straight to sleep.
Yeah. But that took a lot of discipline to put and I love that term, snackle box. I love that. I'm gonna start saying that now. But it took a lot of discipline to do that, just to put those together and have them ready.
Yeah, the night before I would go back to work, I would prep them faithfully every single weekend because I knew that the chances of me messing up were much higher if I could say, oh, well, I didn't bring anything to work. So, everybody at work's ordering takeout. I'm going to have to, otherwise I have to go 12 hours without eating. I didn't want myself to have that excuse. So
Mhm.
it is in a lot of ways, not just about what you eat, but being prepared. You have to. Like,
Absolutely.
it's the only way to make it work.
Mhm. Yeah, and I try to I have since, while I was purchasing gluten-free things, I came across in that section, some gluten-free beef jerky, grass-fed beef jerky, only 3 ingredients, and so I try to keep those here at the office because 'cause I'm the same way. If I don't think ahead of time and bring something, then I have to go out, and then I'm like, "What in the world, am I gonna eat? That's not bad," and, you know so I have those here, and really, you wouldn't think that a little now they've come out with the little minis, and it's like just that and in one of the mineral waters, and I'm fine until I get home for dinner. And it's amazing, like you said, your stomach shrunk. I know mine has shrunk. So it's amazing what we can do, and I'm inspired to be a little bit more disciplined after listening to you. So
Good, I'm
kudos,
glad.
kudos. That is an
Thank
amazing
you.
story. An amazing
Thank you.
story. So you continue
It's
to do the intermittent fasting?
been life changing. I do. I just, like I said, have to be a little more careful with it. I had some labs ran last week, and I had gone too long without eating, and my doctor called me all freaked out because my blood sugar was 39. So I have to be really careful with it, but I still do it.
Mhm,
I'm not as strict with myself as I once was because I'm pretty much, I guess, where I need to be. And
mhm,
I, I'm I don't want to limit myself so much that I ever mess up again because this is not just a diet. This is a lifestyle change. Like, this is permanent. And
mhm,
so I give myself little rules and I watch things. And I honestly, and I know it sounds crazy, and a lot of people will say this is a bad idea, but I weigh myself every day.
mhm,
Every morning when I wake up, before I eat or drink anything, I hop on the scale because I am afraid that if I don't keep myself accountable, that I'll let it go again. And I never want to ever do that again.
mhm.
Just
That
if you
keeps me
can
on
you
track.
pull the pictures up?
Oh, yeah, let me pull let me do
Because now you feel pretty, and I enjoy so much watching you get yourself ready to go somewhere, and you feel pretty, and it's
It's
nice.
yeah, that it is nice. I don't feel like I just want to stay at home. I even want to go out and do stuff more. I just feel better about every aspect of my life.
Yeah,
that's
it's really
an
smart.
amazing transformation.
Yeah.
Thank you. A lot of people don't believe that the pictures I show them are me. The people that didn't know me before, they're like, no, that's not you. And I'm like, I promise it is.
Wow, wow. Did you notice any changes in your hair or your skin or anything like that?
100%. And probably maybe not for the better. I don't know if it's the hormone changes or if it's being restrictive or what, but my hair is actually straightened out and thinned out. Where it used to be thick and curly, it's not anymore. So that's
Mhm.
something I'm working on now. I gotta figure out how to fix that, but you know, small price to pay. And of course,
Yeah.
with all the weight loss, there's the loose skin, which is, I've made peace with that and realized that it's either this or being very overweight. And so I'd rather just deal with the skin.
Mhm.
But the skin is getting better. I watch it. It's getting better.
Mhm. Good deal. Well, there's probably something out there for that. I was like, I've got some ideas we can research and look into, and there's some amazing people out there. So more to come, more to come. I'd like to continue the conversation as we discover new things. So I am inspired by you to be actually a
Thank
little bit
you.
more disciplined. And yeah, maybe I'll have to get rid of my stash in the drawer over here. It's like I only
Yeah,
have
I can't have any of
only
that
have
stuff
one.
around me. But
I know
Put
only
some
one-
sunflower seeds and almonds and stuff like that in the drawer. Something that you enjoy, but that
yeah,
is not going to be so bad.
I have those too, but underneath are the Reese's hearts. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I would have no willpower if they were there.
yeah, well, not that long ago, I almost OD'd on them, and so now I don't eat more than one at a time. But sometimes, so, it. I'm here to tell you, you can OD on Reese's, but
I'm sure you can make yourself sick with them.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But at least now I always say, okay, I'm in my window. It's earlier in the day. It's not like right before I go to bed or anything like that. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm more inspired after listening to you to be a little bit more disciplined about some of my choices. And the first thing was I was just trying to ease myself into it to count how many hours I was going. So Dr. Mindy
Mhm.
Pills does talk about the different hours and the stages and all the rest of it. So I haven't done a 24-hour fast or anything like that. I've gotten up to the 15, 16 hours, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I wanted to get used to that first before I do anything more aggressive. So,
Yeah. Well, I have a good friend who and actually it was before I met him that he lost all his weight, but he lost probably more than I did. At first he tried all the low carb and stuff like that, and it just wasn't working out for him. And he actually did the whole vegan thing, which I don't think I could ever do, but kudos to him. But he does the 24-hour fast, and he has like never gained his weight back, and it's been years. And he's
wow.
all about the 24-hour fasting and the health benefits from it. I'm just afraid that I will die.
Mm. I think I can do a 24-hour fast because, I've made it. I think maybe one day I did 17 hours, but it was by accident, right? It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I get that.
when you lose track of time and you're just, like you said, and you're working in the ER and it's just, if I can keep myself distracted, then I'm not thinking about it. And then other times I'm sitting
Yeah,
there and I want something and I'm like, sometimes I say out loud, you're not hungry, you're just bored. It's like
100%.
you are
We
not
eat when
hungry.
we're bored.
It's like,
yeah.
no, like you get that little snacky. I would just wonder if there are subliminal messages coming through these smart TVs to try to make us eat more. Because
Well,
it's
I
like,
wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it
more
either.
the more you eat the candy, the more it addicts you. There's a cycle there. It's the
Mhm.
sugar stuff. And
Yeah.
Stacy and I we're both nurses. I'm retired, and we both have really real issues with medications for weight loss. We have seen the results. We know what it does to your body. So we stay away from medicines. I mean, I don't even know that there's very many medications that we will take anymore. But food is a medicine. It's a medicine that starts in your stomach, and everything starts in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
sugar just feeds all the bad stuff.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Unfortunately,
I
I
read
like
that
sugar.
stuff. That's gonna be the last thing I wean myself off of. But I mean, I had to do it when I did that 60-day diet. I did it because I could not have sugar in any shape, form, or fashion. I couldn't have honey. The only sweet thing I could have was fruit. That was it. So
Yeah.
fruit became my candy. So, but again, it comes down to prep. You know, I would get
Yes.
caught up in the mental dilemma of, well, if I cut it up now, I had read that some of the nutrients escape when you when you cut it up. So then it's like, well, then you get rushed trying to get out of the house in the morning, and it's like, well, I don't have time to do this. It's like, well, it's got to be one or the other. So just
Yep.
so
Whatever works for you.
yeah. So do your bananas, carry your stuff around. So
Hmm.
it's okay. We can do it, but it's discipline and, like you said, determination. So
Yeah.
kudos. All
Thank
righty.
you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, and I look forward to follow-ups.
Yeah.
We discover now, I think we're going to do a little bit more research and look into some things and see what else is out there that might be helpful. So, anyway, well, thank you again for sharing your story, Georgianne. Thank you for telling
Thank
me about
you.
it and inspiring for me, just dipping my big toe in the water. So, more to come. So y'all have
All
a
right.
Thank you.
afternoon and we will talk again.
Sounds good.
All right, you too.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.